Hey up guys, what's going on and welcome back to Football Manager, where I'm just going to show you a replay of something that happened in the previous game before this recording right now. So, this was a thrilling 3-3 all draw with Bristol City where we managed to come back from 3-1 down. I do believe we actually took the lead in this game, yes, you can see there from the scores at the top. But we went 1-0 up and then we immediately went 3-1 down. Now Garcia clears us up to Jones, who runs. This is playing the 4-3-3 by the way. And then Greenwood decides to do, well, that. So since we last met, it's been a mostly decent affair in terms of results. A lot of narrow games apart from that 3-3. Not a lot of goals, actually, in general, apart from that 3-3 draw. So 1-1 away at Forest, 3-3 with Bristol City. We did lose to QPR away from home, but we did manage to score wins against Barnsley, Portsmouth, Preston and Leeds without conceding in any of those. Found out after the Leeds match that Mason Greenwood is in fact a Bradford lad. So that's what I should have called this series. Anyway, Mason Greenwood is actually a Bradford, hails from Bradford. So that was a weirdly logical loan move to make there. Because he came afterwards saying, you know, this guy understands the rivalry. So today, last two matches of the season, Norwich and Bolton, two teams actually at the bottom of the table. They're all safe. Now, I think it's only Millwall that is at any danger still at this point in time. Those wins, in fact, have actually pushed us up to 11th, top half of the table. And as you can see here from the table, we are currently nothing to play for. We currently have nothing to play for at all. We are 7 points away from the playoffs and plenty of points away from Hull in 39 points, who still have 39 points. I'm not sure they've actually gained a point since we last met. But you can actually see here, there is an interesting tussle in the middle between 10th, 11th and 12th. Three teams with reasons to try and get ahead of each other. Portsmouth with 65 points, Bradford and Leeds both with 64. Now, local rivalry with Leeds, of course, and promoted rivalry with Portsmouth. Two teams I am actually kind of eager to stay ahead of with these last two matches of the season. Everyone else, don't really care about at this point, but Portsmouth and Leeds, finishing above them, I would enjoy that very much. So the main news here is we stayed mainly injury-free, except for this last week in-game where 6 people decided to get injured. Now, not all those were first team. Sarah Margot is sort of the biggest one there. Simon Kurt is another, which means Dalcio has to play on the right-hand side. Now, there's a couple of ineligibilities as well, with youth players playing in the under-18s match, which has also caused a little bit more panic amongst the things. I have actually played Nichols, the right midfielder we brought in from the Welsh leagues in the January transfer period. He was the one who actually scored against Leeds in his first match for us. So, instant hero. But that does of course mean that Greenwood is leading the charge today with Texera and Dalcio behind him. Norman Corrigan Ferreira, no changes there. Correa, O'Connor, Garcia and Lamb at the back with Golubovic in goal. Pretty much behind Dalcio, not much worry. The bench is mostly just players who are still fit. Of course, as I mentioned, Norwich are one of the 3 teams I sort of follow for the most part. Newcastle being my Premier League team, Lincoln being my local team, and Norwich being my mum's local team. So, by blood, I support Norwich too. So, good news in real life, slightly less good news in virtual life here. They're not actually doing too badly in terms of form right now in the league. They managed to pull themselves plenty clear of that relegation drop. Just going to go with that one. Sorry, I'm going to leave it then. Let's not make it any better or worse. Incidentally, if anyone is confused by the shirt today, I'm not sure if you can really see it in the camera line, but just saw Detective Pikachu today, so I wore my only Pokemon shirt, which is Newcastle United. The Pokemon League team I had in my previous iteration of this channel. All those players are still here, by the way, in case you were wondering, and you are still here from that time. They're still available in players form, but all the videos have been made private otherwise in terms of the standard playlist. So, Norwich on the ball here. Still, obviously, with that somewhat bizarre kid they are sporting this year. It's worth mentioning that West Ham have also made a push, and oh my god, Greenwood has seized upon a defensive calamity here, and oof. I've just realised the normal highlights are in director mode right now because I did that highlight situation. Oh, that's a free kick. Let me just switch that back to 2D for the standard. There we are. Highlights, but this match has had that singular highlight and now this one. Here we are, something is actually happening once again. Now, I've also done my preliminary run through the Premier League and Championship, looking at all the players whose contracts are expiring at the end of the year, picking out some targets, and one of them is a Norwich player, in fact. Of course, we do have the situation with our financial wage restrictions. So even though there's a few decent players that are not retiring, whose contracts are up at the end of the year, it's likely I won't be able to get most of them. Although Texeira's just scored here, so who needs transfers? 1-0 to Bradford. Marco Stiepermann is the player that's contract is up at the end of this year and is of decent enough quality for us to bring in. I'm not sure if his wages will allow us to do so, though. But Texeira catches on at the end of that. I'm not really sure what their defenders are doing right there. Just goes between two of them. And that's 1-0 to Bradford. Hey up, there we go. They're fired up from something. And immediately anxious again. Oh, another highlight just before half-time here. 43 minutes on the clock. Coventry out to Lamb. And back across to Norman in the middle. And he goes for it. Is Coventry the one with the long shots? Norman, not so much. Ex-Norwich player, Snodgrass actually scoring for Middlesbrough there, I think that was. And, well, we're very much on top of this, aren't we? Well, Darcy is stressed, but I don't really care at this point. Just don't get complacent, was the instruction. It's always a risk. We're up to 8th. What on earth? We had a good start and a good end. And then the middle was a bit rocky, as it was last season, apart from, although December was the weak point last season. Greenwood, oof, goes close. It's the outside of the post. It wasn't even a save. I was about to say that was a good save, but it wasn't. Texeira over this free kick, and that goes to Greenwood, who makes it 2-0. Greenwood's also been scoring quite a lot recently. That's his 10th goal of the season. We only brought him in January. Remember when I said in December I need to bring someone in with good finishing who can be a little bit more clinical? Half a season Greenwood's had, and he scored 10 goals for us. So imagine what he would have done if we had him from the beginning. Well, 20 goals, I suppose. Onel Hernandez has been injured. That's not great for them. One of the few remaining decent players they have. As I mentioned earlier in the season, they have sold most of their players, and this game is running away, and transfers. Substitutions are necessary. Midfield, just a smidge tired, so let's get that freshened up from what we have on the bench for us right now. So both Jim O'Brien and Akpan available. 2-0 up, no real reason to risk any injuries to our top players in this season's worth of... But we are absolutely dominating this game. What's happening? Garcia nearly makes that through. Oh, Jim O'Brien does, but it's disallowed for offside. Got excited briefly there. But as we see here, Garcia gets onto the end of that. Should have scored himself. Oh, so it counts as Jim O'Brien's goal just because it ricochets off him. It wasn't him that smacked it. It was his chest that deflected it. So I guess that counts, even though the goalie wasn't getting the shot there because he was still recovering from Garcia's initial. Where's this going? Oh, we're just giving it to them. That's a free goal, really. I guess they know I support Norwich. It's like, oh, yeah, have one back. Just save your goal difference a little bit. There we are. There we go. Just keep it at 1-0. Let's not just get the win. Just get the 3 points. No need for goal difference here. Just let you have a goal. Well, can't have it all, can we? Rather interesting fact, just out of the we're just doing this transfer. I've just said it again. Substitution. The 3-3 all game against Bristol City. Globovic had gone 333 minutes without conceding at that point, which was amusing, considering that ended up with a 3-3 game. We'll just go left back here because that's the easiest straight swap I have right now for a player that's under 70%. So money on for Correa. Correa's been scintillating in the games you haven't seen right now. He's actually in the running for Young Player of the Season, I think it is. Texeira's on the ball here, one of my favourites for this season. Oh, Godfrey's just poached it. Oh no, he's gone through him. I think he's gone through him here. Nope, it's just a free kick. But does that mean this is going to be important, this free kick? Oh no, it's the end of the game. That sent me on a roller coaster emotion. I thought it was a red card. I thought it might have been a decent goal, maybe, or shot, something like that. It was the end of the game. Well, way to bamboozle me there, game. Good win, boys. Nothing really to say. And now, of course, a week's gap until the final Sunday game against Bolton, who are, I believe, 19th, somewhere around there. Close to Norwich. And here we are for the final game of the season. Now, there's not really that much to play for in the league. It's just the top 3-4 teams, really, with anything left to deal with. We still got the rivalry with Portsmouth. Leeds have dropped off 3 points behind and we have a far better goal difference, so it looks like we're going to finish ahead of Leeds, remarkably. The team is basically the same as it was last time. In fact, it is exactly the same first 11. I've just brought Santa Cruz onto the bench, along with Curtis Jones for the final game of the season. Santa Cruz is retiring at the end of the season, so why not give him one last hurrah off the bench, maybe? I did want to play a few of the youth prospects, and then completely forgot the fact the under-18s played the day before this match, and therefore they're all knackered. So, normal first 11 it is then. Well, that's how we both line up then. Sorry, let's give fans a shout out for this final one, and then a bit of passion. That'll do us. On top of that, now, no real point going any further down than, well, Leeds really. Let's put it on the top 12, because top 12. That's good English, Charles. In fact, I will take off that at the bottom as well and put the table down here so we can see the top 9 down here. So yeah, like you can see, the top 3 are the only real ones that can do much at this point. Yeah, Cardiff, I think there can be a situation where Cardiff can get up there depending on how Fulham's game ends. But there we are. I think Cardiff must already be losing or something to be on 77 and 4 points behind, because there was definitely a way of Cardiff getting in the second position, so I think Cardiff must already be 1-0 down or something like that. However, Portsmouth, you can see, directly ahead of us still. They must have won the game that we played last... Oh, nope. Like I say, they must have won the game parallel to our Norwich match to stay 1 point ahead. And I don't have enough time to look at the Cardiff match right now because we've immediately gone back on that. I just remembered the match stats are minimised from the goal highlight I showed you at the start of this episode, but we do drop down to 10th position as Bristol City make their way up to 7th momentarily. Still, of course, 70 minutes of today's matches to go. He is going to get a carving pass because O'Connor... I really feel like you see O'Connor at his worst in these games. He's much better than these highlights that you actually see. I swear to God, last episode you saw him absolutely butcher a through ball. Let's just see how he managed to... Yep, completely missed that header. I miss Saris. It's a shame he deteriorated as a player outside of... Well, he was not playing. We're 1-0 down to Bolton on the final day of the season. What? Because I feel that's probably the most fitting way to end this season, with abject disappointment from out of nowhere. Like going on a really good run and then boom, lose. Portsmouth have scored, I think, or equalised. They've equalised. They're playing QPR actually, who were up there as well. Where's that Cardiff game? Oh, 0-0 with Millwall. Cardiff 0-0 with Millwall. I could have sworn there was a way for them to get third, but maybe not. The teams at the very top are West Ham, who are beating Derby, and Stoke, who are 0-0ing with Middlesbrough. And there's a third team up there as well, and I can't remember who they are right now. Fulham, probably. Yeah, they're 3-1 up. Sorry, it's last day of the season. Let's get aggressive with their disappointment. There we are. Yeah, so Fulham and Stoke. So Stoke were in the automatic position at the start of today, I believe. And then Fulham have just... No, Fulham would have been on 79 at the start of the day, and Stoke would have been on 78. So everything's still as it was as the start of the day. So unless Fulham get pegged back, then it looks like West Ham and Fulham are going to be the automatic promotions. Two teams that came down, of course, so that's a little bit sad for variety's sake in the Premier League. If we could get anything out of this game, that would be great. Right, so getting the booked players off, O'Brien on as well, just because, well, it'd be a bit sad if he didn't play the final game of the season at all. 20 minutes to go here. I will pause it after this highlight to bring Santa Cruz on, but there is a highlight here. Dalcio snaps onto that and holds it up for O'Connor, who doesn't butcher anything this time round. West Ham 2-0 up at Derby. Portsmouth have equalised against QPR again, so they're up to 7th. Portsmouth are in 7th. That's so silly. But Saramago on the ball here. Sorry, I stopped paying attention to the actual... What the hell was that? Apparently that was a highlight. Santa Cruz is on the pitch just for the last 20 minutes, because why the heckles not? Teixeira is furious for some reason. I think Portsmouth are losing it again, so if we get a point here, that would be great. Santa Cruz does get it to Norman. 38 years worth of experience there, managing to pick out the perfect pass to Norman. Teixeira will be able to swing that in, and if Santa Cruz scores here, I will... A penalty's been awarded. Santa Cruz is shoved by Santa Cruz. Oh my God, Santa Cruz is taking the penalty as well. Oh, this isn't scripted, I swear. And he scores. Santa Cruz scores the equaliser on the final day of the season, putting us ahead of Portsmouth. 4 teams on 68 points. That is remarkable. Portsmouth was 7th at one point here, and with them going down and us scoring, they are down to 11th. That's how tight it is up here. QPR up to 7th instead, with us directly behind them. Oh God, we're attacking though. We're still attacking. I forgot to change that back. Please don't score. 1 point's fine here. If Portsmouth equalise, sod it. But 1 point's fine at this point. I'll take it. This game has had an extra minute above the allotted 4 minutes that was already on the clock. So please don't score here. Whew. And we finished the season in 8th. I'm proud of you, lads. I don't care. It's not even really about this game. I'm saying I'm proud of you a lot, just in general. 8th is absurd for the team that we had. Casual reminder, 23rd on the preview. 23rd on the preview. Portsmouth admittedly 21st on the preview. They moved up the slots as well. Like we moved from 23rd to 20. We moved from 24th to 23rd at some point, and Portsmouth moved from 22nd to 21st at some point during the season. But for them to have finished top half as well, along with us, that is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, Norwich finished way down here as well, and Hull were relegated. Birmingham were relegated, as were Barnsley. No real surprises going up, actually. The top 3 were exactly that, in fact. Middlesbrough, the only sort of disappointment here from the playoff predictions. Yeah, from the playoff predictions, Middlesbrough are the only disappointment because they finished somewhere mid-table. And Norwich, of course, the biggest disappointments of all. As we will see on this page here. They finished in 20th, in fact. No one on any of these, of course. But hey, oh well. Never mind. It does make some of these promises feel slightly less out of touch from when I made them. I did mention earlier in the season I thought I only had 2 years to get these done, when it was 3 years. So I've still got 2 more seasons to get into the playoffs for these 2 guys, and Norman wants to actually be promoted in that season. So pressure's on, especially now we finished 8th. I do hope that gives us some budget. But West Ham win this. West Ham were 10th in the middle of that season as well. It is worth mentioning that. They pulled out a remarkable comeback. In fact, it was highlighted in one of the episodes when I selected them for the episode that followed. They were 10th at that point. Anyway, now it's just a time for finding the end of season stuff, and I'll bring you back for that news. Here we are then, the best 11 squad. Now, pretty much everyone from this season has been inducted into this, at least the players that started it. Mason Greenwood actually makes the bench for this, which is a bit of shade really against Owen Doyle, who caused. So here we are then. There's not that many players that are no longer with us that have managed to persist into the squad. Vokins from last season, Seedorf from last season, 2 loan players from last season, and Riley and Scannell, who departed us in January. Otherwise, it's pretty much just everyone who's played for us this season, including Sergio Luis in goal, and Saramago and Mason Greenwood on the bench. Doyle doesn't even make the bench, which is weird. Doyle will be leaving us at the end of the season. He's one of a bunch of players whose contracts are up at the end of the season. So, fair amount of high earners. The budgets are essentially 1.75 million for transfers and 97,000 for wages. So, not a lot of wiggle room on the wages, but decent amount of actual money for transfers. Well, compared to usual anyway. So that's not too bad. And of course, if we do lose a lot of the big wage earners, then that gives me a little bit more flexibility there as well. So, end of season awards. The young player of the season was Eric Garcia. Signing of the season is Chad Lamb from Bristol Rovers, the one player that the fans were like, that seems a bit much. Suddenly, signing of the season. Funny how that works. Mason Greenwood, of course, has the goal of the season for that overhead kick. And Jim O'Brien is the fans' player of the season, understandably so. He had an excellent first half of the season, and then sort of, come January, sort of tailed off a little bit, and then didn't feature as much. So, season review, as you can see here, expected to struggle for much of the season and find themselves entrenched in the bottom of the standings, but able to surprise everyone by securing a well-deserved top half finish. You can see how the last few months went there. Just rise. It is worth mentioning, of course, that all those teams in the middle of the pack were very close on points. really. And it just took really one team to go on a really good run at the end of the season to just burst their way through it, and that happened to be us, thankfully. Portsmouth too, to a lesser extent, and then they faltered at the last hurdle. End of season confidence review, lovely. See, this is the problem. Signing Kurt, we signed him, and then he spent 3 batches of 4 weeks injured. He just got injured again, by the way, as you can see here. So, starting to regret that transfer. And here we can see the year's stats for this. Now, at the top of this, you can see Matt Nichols, who played 1 game, scored the goal, and, well, that was it, really. And then he either got briefly injured or was in the under-18s, and I forgot to take him out of the under-18s, so he couldn't even be on the benches. Mason Greenwood comes next, the loan signing we brought in. He's probably the first one actually worth mentioning. He played a grand total of 16 games for us, 4 off the bench, and scored 10 times in those games. Pretty damn good for him. Maybe worth trying to get him back for next season. Now, besides Kenworthy played 1 game in goal. That was by one of the 4-0 droppings, I think. And then Chad Lamb, another signing in January here on 7.19 for the season. Pretty darn good. You can see why he was signing of the season, which is quite interesting considering his right-back opposition was on a 7.11 for the season, although not so great in his final 5 matches that he played for us. O'Brien, whilst at one point at a 7.4, drops to 7.06, but all these players above 7 average. Pedro Ferreira actually reaching 7 in the end. He was just sort of around this region on the 6.9, 6.8 for quite a lot of the season, and then just managed to pick himself up in the final half of that by the looks of things. O'Donnell, out well known, has been playing at a 7.02. Correa, Coventry, Garcia, all above the 7s. Excellent end of the season for Correa in particular. Now, same thing with Matthias Norman, actually. Excellent end of the season for him on a 7.38 for the last 5 games he's played. But total goals this season, not great, really, when you look at it. But 11 for Sarah Margo in the end. 300 minutes per goal. Mason Greenwood, only 109 minutes per goal, so a lot better there from him. Jim O'Brien did score 7, but his last goal was in December. Doyle scored 6 from when he actually played. Coventry ended up with 6. Texera with 5 by the end of this. Ferrer scored 2 penalties. And of course, final game of the season, 17 minutes per goal for Roque Santa Cruz because he played 17 minutes in the last game and that was it. I think he may have come on at one point just for the last 2 minutes in the game or something like that. I'm not sure. One interesting thing I did see on the end of things, I'm not going to show you the full thing for this, was Eric Garcia. He did actually score a goal for us, but Eric Garcia had the most key tackles of anyone in the league for this season. So yeah, he might be coming back again. He's going to be here permanently on loan until his contract runs out and we actually get to sign him properly. See, this is the thing I also wanted to bring up here because I did mention it in the highlights there. The only person to make goal mistakes, well, there's one from Connor Wood down here, and that's it. But 3 goal mistakes from Anthony O'Connor, and I think you saw all 3 of those in the games I've shown you. Outside of those games, he's not made any real mistakes. His tackle accuracy is not that great either, actually, considering he's meant to be a central defender. When Eric Garcia's is 97, that's a little bit problematic, actually. Defence is definitely something we're going to be focusing on. Central defence is definitely something we're going to be focusing on come this transfer window. Now, of course, we do have 3 very good prospects coming through, so it might be well worth focusing on them and then focusing on a second striker. Considering Doyle's leaving us, focusing there might be a good idea as well. I'm not sure we need to do a lot. Essentially, strengthening depth is what we need right now. We do have a very good, very decent first 11, but then the strength does disappear quite quickly in some of those positions, namely central defence. So that's going to be the main focus, really, for this transfer window. We actually get 8th with the team that we had, so not really a lot we need to do here. It's just developing the players we do have and bringing in backups and maybe just slight improvements on some players that we already have. Is the main focus here for the transfer window now. So that'll be the next episode, of course, is bringing you those transfers as and when they happen. So, for the start of Season 2 in the Championship, until then, ta-ra.